The Admirals won and the fans delivered. 28 wins in a row, a playoff run that may never be duplicated, a sellout crowd for the team's final home game. But this was more than just a farewell to a great season. It was the final game for the Admirals as the AHL team of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Hi, everybody. I'm Bruce Rader. Welcome to the Sports Wrap live on this Thursday night. Just 5 days after winning the Calder Cup, the Lightning made it official today. They are pulling their coaches and players out of Norfolk and signing a new multi-year deal with the Syracuse Crunch. Unless he gets a job in the NHL, Coach John Cooper, his staff, and any of the Admirals from this year that continue to play in the AHL will be playing their games in Syracuse. The Syracuse Post-Standard calls it one of the most striking moves in Syracuse hockey history, partnering the Crunch with a brain trust that just helped produce one of the most historic seasons in the history of the AHL. Now, the same thing happened to the Admirals 5 years ago when the Chicago Blackhawks moved their AHL team from Norfolk to Rockford, Illinois. It's just the affiliation that's moving, though, not the team.
100% there'll be AHL hockey in scope next season. You know, it's unfortunate that we're not going to be with Tampa. I mean, we had obviously a great year, a record-setting year, but this happens. I mean, it's just like, you know, 5 years ago, Chicago left, and everyone was distraught, and, you know, everyone loved Chicago because that's what we knew for so long. And the first 3 years of Tampa were pretty rough, but the last 2 years were fantastic. But again, as you know, even if Tampa did come back, you wouldn't have been the same team out there. You know, if you look back at the Admirals teams from, 2-3 years ago, really you only have Scott Jackson, Giannis, and Tokarski remaining.
That's true of the 28 players on the Admirals roster this year. Only 7 were with the team last season, and only the 3 that Gregory mentioned were with the Admirals the 2 years before that. Coach John Cooper says fans on this level, well, they just can't form long-term relationships with the guys on the ice.
Fans fall in love with their team. They don't fall in love with the organization. I thought when we lost Mitch Fritz, I was crushed that the fans were going to be, who's their guy? And then Eric Nielsen came in. PC Labrie came in. And it just happens. That's what happens in sports.
Well, it's almost certain the Admirals will quickly sign a new multi-year deal with the NHL's Anaheim Ducks. That's the team that for the past 2 years had its AHL team up in Syracuse. Now, the Lightning decided at the end of last season that they were moving out of Norfolk, and after looking at several different cities, they decided that they liked the owner of the Crunch and the Syracuse fans. The newspaper up there says the Crunch also agreed to build the team a new gym and better offices for the coaches. As for the new Admirals, the Ducks team that seems to be coming to Norfolk finished this year 4th in the East Division, losing only 3 of their last 20 regular season games. They made the playoffs for the first time in 4 years, losing to St. John's. That's the team the Admirals beat for the Eastern Conference Championship. And one interesting note, if Norfolk's new partners are the Ducks, their AHL team is coached by Trent Yawney. Remember him? A former and very popular Admirals coach back during the Blackhawks relationship, and his assistant, former Admirals player Marty Wilford.
No, I mean, if our negotiations with Anaheim end up coming to fruition, there's a lot to be positive about in Syracuse. You know, aside from Yanni, who's a familiar face and was here with when we were a Chicago affiliate, Syracuse has some outstanding young talent.
And keep in mind, when the Lightning replaced the Blackhawks in Norfolk 5 years ago, they were one of the most dysfunctional franchises in all of professional sports. The team they put in Norfolk at the time was horrible and only changed for the better when the Lightning changed owners. It's the way of life in minor league sports, but rest assured, the Admirals will be on the ice come next fall.